Read my lips. No new taxes. That's not just a campaign slogan. That's a curse. That's a line that George H.W. Bush gave a lot during the 1988 campaign run when he was running against Michael Dukakis of Massachusetts for president. It's also why he lost in 1992 to Bill Clinton of Arkansas. But here's a twist. That was only one of the many promises Bush broke. His presidency is like a history class and how politicians train us not to trust them or believe them. Okay, quick thing, okay? Bush wasn't some comic book villain, some Marvel or DC villain, okay, twirling a mustache, talking about world domination. He wasn't Austin Powers, and he wasn't a super villain. He was a guy who thought he knew what he was doing. He was a cautious Cold War bureaucrat. He had like the ultimate dad energy. The guy would pat you on the back for mowing the lawn, but also send you to military school for back talk. He wanted to be steady, reliable, but the gap between steady and trustworthy is huge. And Americans, we noticed. So let's start with his first promise, the big one, the one that everyone remembers. Read my lips, no new taxes. Yeah, we have to start here. He literally promised on national television at the Republican National Convention that he would never raise taxes. Then the economy tanked. Deficits ballooned, and in 1990, he signed a budget deal that raised taxes. Record scratch. Game over. He was done. And look, policy nerds would tell you that this deal actually helped the economy recover and set the stage for a 1990s economic boom that Bill Clinton kind of took credit for. But politically, it was like Bush went on national TV and said, hey guys, remember that pinky promise I made? Yeah, about that. And conservatives never forgave him and never forgot. Number two, he promised to balance the budget. He promised to fix the deficit. Spoiler, he did not fix the deficit. To be fair, Cold War spending was still massive. And then we hit a recession. But if you're going to run on fiscal discipline, you can't then leave office with the budget ballooning and bleeding money everywhere. He spent. Now, some of it, we went to war with Iraq, over Kuwait, and so military spending went up. But we never cut, we just spent. He also promised, number three, campaign finance reform. Bush said he'd clean up Washington. Then he got to Washington and basically said, actually, the water here kind of tastes fine. It's swampy water. It's not great for everybody, but I kind of like it. He opposed reforms after he said he was running on them. He watered down bills, and special interests kept doing special interest type things, which is they paid both sides to do what they wanted. And he said no bailouts. Number four, he said no bailouts, especially, private corporations. Except, well, he did. Campaign Bush said, no more bailouts. Okay, I'm not bailing out anybody. President Bush said, okay, fine, one more bailout, but next time I'm not doing it. Enter the savings and loans crisis, which, by the way, was basically 2008 before 2008. If you remember 2008, the banks failed. We had to bail them out. Shady banking, deregulation, which Reagan was big on, reckless lending, everything crashing. Bush signed a bailout package that cost taxpayers $124 billion with a B dollars. That's like if you bought everyone America a lifetime supply of Taco Bell and then told them, sorry, no refunds. Okay. The deregulation started during Reagan, and we didn't learn because it happened again. When it happened the next time in 2008, 2012, again, we were giving out home loans to people who couldn't afford homes, and the banks defaulted and they ran out of money. Let's just say deregulation doesn't work well for certain industries because they will always worry about their bottom line, not about the people they're helping. He also promoted something, a kinder, gentler nation. This was Bush's big poetry moment, okay? And then in the early 1990s happened. Poverty climbed. Urban America was in crisis. And then the 1992 LA riots. Bush's response, not so kind, not so gentle. The rhetoric never matched the reality, and people noticed. LA went up in flames after the Rodney King beat down, the trial. Things were on fire, and instead of trying to make peace and to calm people down, he kind of turned it up to 11, brought in the National Guard, brought in military, basically told people that they should all just stop existing because how dare they think the powers are wrong. He also promoted himself, number 6, as the education president. Bush literally called himself the education president. His plan, America 2000. He was supposed to reinvent schools. Problem? Congress was like, cool story, bro, but no. Education reform became Clinton's thing later. And Bush's education president label just kind of evaporated. He came up with the idea of no child left behind. Great concept, poor planning, poor idea. Concept, basically every child has the right to be equal with their classmates, and we shouldn't teach over their heads. The problem is you also cut funding to schools. So schools had to merge classrooms. So they had to, in no nice way of saying it, they had to dumb it down because they didn't have classrooms and teachers for the lower educated students. So they had to teach the higher education students at the lower levels, which hurt a lot of inner city schools more than the higher taxpayer bracket schools. Schools who could get their own financing, schools who could get their own money, magically didn't have as much of a problem as the inner city. Bush also touted, number 7, himself as the environmental president. Bush promised to be green before green was cool. He did sign the Clean Air Act amendments in 1990, and that was big. It was big because no one had done it before. But when it came to climate change, global warming, protecting wetlands, he basically ghosted everybody. He promised to clean up the world. He promised to make America greener. He promised to make America better, but he didn't succeed in that. It's like if I promised to run a marathon and I posted a picture of me walking around the block saying, I just did a marathon, when it was really just me walking around the block. Optics weren't great. He also promised, number 8, to be tough on China. China was starting to become a world power because of corporations moving from America to China. China opened up in the 1960s, early 70s because of Richard Nixon and Kissinger. And then Reagan deregulated a bunch of things. So corporations left America and went to China and India and Taiwan and Vietnam. Anyway, they went overseas, and China started becoming more powerful because of that. So promise, look at the promise Bush made. Bush said, we're gonna make China, we're gonna make them follow the democratic law, we're gonna make them be better. But then Tiananmen Square happened. Bush had to decide if democracy's values were that important, or was it more about money? He chose to be political instead of, he chose the kinder, gentler way of dealing with China instead of laying the hammer down. China had a uprising of students in Tiananmen Square, and China decided to take out those students with tanks, guns, military, and the world was ticked off. The world was upset. They looked to America. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And Bush originally said, we're going to be tough on them. We're going to hold them accountable. But then people got to Bush and basically explained how much money it would cost if we did. Bush pulled back. He quietly kept relations with Beijing. He kept it open. He kept talking to them. He kept being, polite and nice. He was preaching democracy. He was preaching that they need freedom. But freedom everywhere, and actually we need cheap imports. There was a big difference. He liked cheap imports more than democracy and freedom. So he chose money over democracy, even though on the campaign trail and in front of Americans, he said, China's got to toe the line. China's got to be better. He really didn't want that. He wanted the money. The next one, number 9, kind of goes with the whole special interest type thing, okay? Lobbyists. Now, a lobbyist is someone who gets paid by a big corporation to go into D.C. and talk to Congress people, House members, senators, their staff, and their job is to say, hey, we think cigarettes are great, or hey, we like guns, or hey, PBS needs more money, or hey, let's take money from PBS and give it to us. Their whole job is to wine and dine senators and Congress people and House members and their staff, and their job is to make their point and sell their stuff. Okay, lobbyists aren't great people normally because most of the time they're there just to try to get their way by spending the most money. Bush promised to rein in these special interests. Instead, the revolving door between lobbyists and the government officials spun like a fidget spinner. Washington didn't look cleaned up. It looked like the same swamp in a different decade. People were just, cigarettes, guns, medications, pharmaceutical companies, everything you could think of, they spent like crazy. And they were just, they had a special place in the heart of most people in the 90s. 80s and 90s, it was very big on lobbyists. And here's a big one that we're still working on today and still hasn't gotten figured out. Healthcare reform. Bush promised to tackle healthcare costs. His plan, some tax credits, a few small tweaks. Congress said, nope, nothing changed. And honestly, that's the most American tradition out there. We all talk about healthcare. We all talk about reforming it, making it better, making it cheaper, making it easier, and nothing gets done. That's what we do in America. We complain about certain things, but we never fix it. We complain about healthcare. We don't fix it. We complain about guns. We don't fix it. We complain about, education. We don't fix it. Here's what we do. If I tell you that cigarettes are going to kill you, you say, okay, I'll stop smoking. You start vaping. If I tell you healthcare is too expensive, healthcare is too much of a hindrance, healthcare is killing the American people, you just say, well, I have healthcare, so I'm good. If I tell you guns are bad, if I tell you guns are killing people, you'll say, no, mental health is killing people. Mental health is the reason why people are shooting up places. If I say, okay, the mental health system is broken, you'll say it's because too many people are in it and people who really don't need the help, who are just weak. If I tell you that the environment is dying and things are overheating and polar ice caps are melting and penguins and polar bears are dying, you're going to say, we're actually in a cool down over the last 10,000 years. If I tell you the education system is broken, you're going to say, well, teachers are asking for too much money. And that's our American way. We talk about problems, we bring up the problems, but there's always enough people out there to go back and say, it's not my problem, it's a you problem. There's too much death in the inner city. Well, it's because they're all on welfare. Okay, well, the tax rates are too high for the inner city. Well, if they got jobs, it wouldn't be as bad. Well, they can't get a job because there's no jobs. Well, that's because there's too much crime. Well, we need more police. Well, the police need, we need to raise taxes for the police, and I don't want to pay any more taxes. People should pay more taxes. These lower income people who don't pay any taxes, they should pay taxes. Well, they're low income, so they can't afford to pay taxes. But anyway, this is what we do. We complain. We don't fix anything. Bush tried to fix things. Bush tried to make things better. He didn't. He didn't fix it because he can't. Our country is 249 years old. And the only time we fixed anything major It has taken war, civil unrest, death. Pretty much that's what's had to fix it. When we wanted to get away from England, we went to war. When the country was splitting over slavery and we wanted to end slavery or end the idea of slavery, we went to war. When we had to deal with fascism across the country, across the world, we went to war in Europe. When the economy tanked and everyone lost everything, the government reformed some things saying, hey, wait a minute, we need protections from banks and from these wealthy people, which created the FDIC. But that was because of the Great Depression. We lost everything. Famine. People were literally starving in the street. People were selling their children because they couldn't afford their children. We wanted to end fascism again and Nazis. So we went to war. That war also helped us get out of the Great Depression. Then after the war, a lot of African Americans who fought in the war wanted equal freedoms. That helped breed the Civil Rights Movement, where people died. Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Civil Rights Act was passed. This is what we do. Women had to march in the streets. Women had to get their husbands to approve for them to march in the streets just to get the right to vote. Every time we want to fix something, it takes something cataclysmic to fix it. Some people say, oh, Charlie Kirk's death's going to change that. I don't know. I don't know if it will. They shot at Trump when he was running for president, and nothing changed. They killed Charlie Kirk, nothing changed. They killed the person, the House member and congressperson from Minnesota, nothing changed. Children are being shot in school all the time, nothing changes. We give people freedoms, and some of them can't handle it. I'm not saying let's abolish all freedom. What I'm saying is certain freedoms have to be earned. You need to earn your right to own a gun. Sorry, you should. You shouldn't just get a gun because your name is Tim, okay? You should be able to get a gun, take a class, go through a screening, get a gun, okay? In the military, they give us weapons. They give us weapons that very similar to what people use to kill lots of people in America. But they don't just hand us an M4. They make us go through training. They make us carry it with us everywhere. They make us understand it, understand the destruction it causes, yet we do nothing like that for the American citizens. We give people the right to vote, people who have no idea even what they're doing. People who vote depending on what TikTok tells them. It's a freedom that in other parts of the world people don't have. And to have it, they beg for it. They'll learn everything. They'll take a test. They'll do whatever they need to do to have that right. Yet, we just give it away. Unless you're a felon. Then no matter what you do, you can't vote. And I think that's the issue. We give health care for free-ish to low-income people. Unless you're not low-income enough. We give free college away to low-income people unless you're not low-income enough. Healthcare is easy for people who are high income. They get whatever they want. I give free healthcare because I went to war and I got hurt. If I didn't, I wouldn't have free healthcare. I got education grants because I went to war and got hurt. I wouldn't get that if I didn't. I earned it. I think our system is broken, and right now, I don't know what will fix it. I love peeling back history, okay? I love peeling back today's world compared to what it was 30, 40, 100 years ago. It's like an onion. Our onion is really, really rotted on the outside, okay? Our onion is falling apart. It's not pretty. People literally hate each other over who they voted for, who they watch online, who they believe is right. People literally disown their families over what they do for work, where they go to school, who they love. It's just stupid. I don't care who you love. I don't care who you think you are. I don't care what you think you are. I'm tired of us hating each other for what we believe. We are, as a human race, we are built, created, as I always say, in God's image. If you don't believe in God, we're created in somebody's image, okay? And the point of this is we are created in God's image to be better. We can be better. Instead of hating somebody for getting free healthcare, say, awesome, my money's going towards somebody who needs help. Instead of hating somebody because they love someone who is the opposite of who you love. You know what? You found love. I'm happy for you. I don't have to understand it, but I'm happy you love someone. I'm happy you found someone that you love. Instead of being upset because you can't get a gun because maybe you don't want to take a class, or you don't want to do something, or because you don't pass a test mentally, or maybe you've got some violent history in your past and the government wants you to do a few things. Instead of being, oh my God, they're taking away my freedom, think to yourself, you know what? I'm okay, but maybe, this rule is good because it keeps other people from getting a gun and keeps my children, my grandchildren safe. Just think about that. Think about what can we do to make others better. You can't make others better if you hate all the time. You can't make others better for disavowing them or not loving them or not caring about who they are. You don't have to always understand them. You don't always have to, respect everything they're doing. Just care about them. My children, my grandchildren, my parents, my siblings, they don't live the same way I do. They don't believe the same way I do. I still love them. My mother, before she passed away, her and I were completely different. I still loved her. I still tried to be there for her. And while I might not always understand my sisters or my dad or my kids, I love them because they're my family. I don't understand the people down the street, but I'm not going to take a car and run them over. I might not understand all religious things, all religious schools. I'm not going to take a gun and kill them. I might not like the way I'm treated at certain establishments, certain countries. I'm not going to go and bomb them. It's just, we need to stop hating and start respecting, loving. And if we can't, just don't be part of it. If you don't like what somebody says online, don't watch them. If you don't like a politician and what they do, run against them or get behind a candidate that's running against them. If you don't like somebody or something they're saying, say something against them. Start a YouTube channel, go on TikTok, go on Instagram, go against them with words. A lot of people didn't like Bush because he broke his promise. No new taxes. Bush was a lifelong politician. He worked for the CIA, but he also fought in World War II. Him and his wife thought they were doing what they thought was best. I can't hate the man for that. He wasn't a villain. He was trying to tackle problems that, guess what? We still haven't tackled. We still haven't fixed lobbyists, healthcare. China still runs the world. Our environment, blowing up. Our education system is screwed up. We're not kind. We're not gentle. We bail out everybody except for people. Campaign finance reform, please. Balanced budget, never going to happen. And taxes always will go up. Even when they cut taxes, taxes on something else goes up to fix it. So before we judge any politician, any person, realize the life they're living, the struggles they're going through, and how maybe you can change to be better, how you can change and make them better. Go to a senator's office and say, hey, I have a couple ideas. Or again, if you don't like it, run against them. Well, I have no money. There's money out there if you want to run against. If you want to run against a Republican, there's Democrats who will give you money. If you want to run against a Democrat, there's Republicans who will give you money. There's money out there because we have not fixed campaign finance. People will throw money at you if they believe you might win. And that's the point. So did Bush screw up? Yep. Was he trying to fix the problems in his mind? Yep. Was he an evil man? No. He thought he was doing the right thing. But the world, like you're going to hear further down the line, the world got in the way. From Tiananmen Square to Kuwait to, Kuwait again, China again, Bosnia. You're going to hear it over and over again. The same things keep happening. And they keep happening because we don't learn from our mistakes and we just put a Band-Aid on a gushing artery. We can't fix an open wound with a small little Band-Aid. Till next time.